There you are. Been looking for you. So today, as promised, we're going to talk about foundations and some foundation tips. Now, listen, skin prep is so important. And if you check my saved highlights, you're going to see skin prep for everyone. Just check my recent saved highlights and look for skin prep, and that's going to be for everybody. I got something for everyone in that saved highlight. Now, I am going to give you one tip before we move on. Oh, really quickly, I do dermaplane. Dermaplane, that's how you say it, I think. Don't be judging me. Anyways, and I need to do it right now. Please, if you do not want to remove your facial hair, you do not have to. Please don't think, because I do, that you need to. I'm just letting you know what I do. So all this is all usually sloughed off. And I do it myself. That again, I want you to go to a professional. I do. Don't do as I do. I want you to be very safe. But I do it myself. I've been doing it for a long time, and I use Revlon face razors, and I make sure my face is nice and very slick. I'll use a hyaluronic serum, just something very serum-y, and I'll do it on a wet face too. But again, do not feel like you have to. It's just what I do. I film a lot. I just don't want to have facial hair. It's not, I was saying, well, that cut off, you don't have to do it for makeup to lay nicely. You just follow the direction that the hair grows with your brush. And I will say a brush is going to go over facial hair better. Ooh, fuzz. It's going to go over facial hair better than a sponge, because it's going to have a little bit more impact. So you're going to be able to place that hair. So I normally never speak out negatively to sponges, but I don't recommend a sponge if you do have peach fuzz or a little extra peach fuzz. Please don't have to be the brush I use. Just get a more densely packed brush, because it's going to lay the hair in place. Sponge will not. That is important. Oh, and a few more things. But I'm going to post, I think I'll post a video here tonight. But I love these Elemis facial pads. I've used the Dr. Jart ones. I've used a lot of them. Is it Dr. Jart? Dr. Dennis Gross. You've seen them, the little 2-pack. I've used so many, but these are just perfect. And if you've ever noticed, I never have any kind of buildup around my brows or around my nose. There's nothing else to say. Plus, they're at Sephora now, and that does make me very happy. These are a game changer. If you tried a lot of things and your makeup still doesn't want to go on nicely in certain areas, usually that center of the face, this little situation here, exfoliation. Lightly. You can do this once a week, okay? I recommend every 3 days, but you could even do it once a week. It's going to make such a difference. So now that you've went and you've watched the skin prep, let's get into this. I'm excited. I will mention foundations that I feel are for certain skin types. I think that'll be really good. And I'll kind of go into the layering process. I was thinking about doing a technique, but I'm gonna wait to do that technique. And there's reasons why. Coming soon. So balance to dry, that's what I am. I'm out here just balanced. Sometimes it's drying up like a raisin. So I want to talk first about combination oily skin. I'm going to go grab some foundations, but the skin prep video, I know I referenced it. It's so important for you to watch that, because skin that is balanced, and even though I use the word balance because my skin can be balanced, that's not what I mean. But if we can find a pretty decent balance, if we have combination and oily skin, our makeup is going to wear better, because it's not fighting the foundation, it's not fighting the powder, it's balanced prior. So it's like, hey, I'm cool, I can wear this. So think of it that way. We're trying to find that balance for our skin. That's when our makeup wears its best. So if you're oily, I'm going to show you a more affordable version too, but if you're oily, I cannot stress how good this foundation is. And the reason why, balance. It's so thin that it doesn't just make combination and oily skin think, what the heck is going on? I need to fight for my life right now. So it's so thin, and I've done wear tests. I've done 2 wear tests on this. It's waterproof, it's sweat proof. It is just a long wear. It's literally in the name. I'm reading. That's why I'm looking out. Undetectable Stay True Foundation. It's It is so good. It's so good. I'm gonna give you some more higher end and affordable options, but this is gonna be the one I'm gonna recommend first. And I also love the undertones of this. I feel like it's very well-rounded all the way around. And I like this one even more than the Hang On. I was gonna say I prefer this one on oily combination skin even more than House Labs. I saw that some people enjoy that on combination oily skin, but I feel like this one's even thinner. And again, it's just about tricking the skin into thinking there's nothing on it. That is a really good way to say that. Ooh. I'm gonna hop over to a more affordable version. And there's another reason this foundation is tried and true for me. There's two versions. There's one for my skin type, balanced to dry, and then there's one for combination oily. And I promise you, I know you're thinking, Revlon, I don't know what they did, but they did it. And they gave us two versions. I like this one more than anything Maybelline has. I like the L'Oreal. I'll have to figure out which one that one is. Let me grab that one. And remember, we're not talking about my skin type, we're talking about combination oily. And that's what this one is for. Please try this. I live in a very humid climate. And I can even wear this one because it's very thin and it's not drying in any way. But I do see where it is designed for combination oily. And I just know that I know you're gonna love it. Do you wanna know another foundation that is so good for oily skin? But it takes a little bit of skin prep, okay? I even love it for my skin. I feel like it's a foundation that somehow can cover a lot of skin type ground. Now, if you're extra oily, I might skip it, but with the right skin prep, I know I can hear you. I can hear you clutching your pearls right now, but this is still one of my favorite foundation formulas for long wear, for coverage. Okay, you know how we talk about a lot of foundations having so much skin prep in them these days? I mean, not skin prep, I'm sorry, skincare, which I consider skin prep. This one doesn't. So this one does take that kind of more intense skin prep approach, but when done right, it's so. Now this is the shade Outdoor Beige, which is a little bit too dark for me right now. This is more of my summer shade, but I'm going to, I think there's a lighter shade. I'm gonna grab that one. I have to figure out what it is or I would tell you, but I'm gonna go get it because I kind of miss wearing this foundation. It was one of my favorites. It did take me a second to figure it out because it also dries. It dries down very quickly. And then once you try to go over it, once it's dry, it can patch up. And then also, again, it's tricky, but that's what I'm here for. Once it's mastered, it's still one of the best formulas. But if you do too much skin prep and it's a little too juicy through here, makeup can break down. But there are ways around that. And I know we're thinking, oh, well, we shouldn't have to do a foundation, that we shouldn't use a foundation that's so much work. It's really not, but I'll do a tutorial on it. I love this foundation, especially for combination oily. And I'm dry and I still like it. And then one more affordable option is the L'Oreal True Match. I'm gonna see this match on me right now. This is the shade C5. So again, we're still oily combination with the right skin prep. This is such a beautiful foundation. Undetectable. Ooh, that's a good match. That's a good match. Kind of want to use that. Okay, so I'm going to leave this to the side because I want to use this. I'm going to put it over here. Now, that was combination oily. Again, you'll see this. If you're still like puzzled, remember you have to watch the skin prep because it's about how we prep, things we do. Also, really quickly, let me touch on some powder foundations. And then I even want to talk cream foundation. I know, oily skin combination. Y'all are clutching your pearls again. Hang on. Put down the pearls. It's just skin prep and application, and even how you first put it on the skin is what makes such a difference. If I were to say grab a cream foundation like this one that I absolutely love, see how I've scraped it? Okay, let me talk about this first. See how I've scraped it there? I didn't just go in and load up my brush, okay? For one thing, that's gonna mess up how this performs. It would even mess up how a sponge performs. So evening something out with a spatula or your finger. I want to give options. I know some people don't like to use their fingers, and also a lot of pro makeup artists, it's what you do. And I try to be representative of that in case anyone's starting out and wanting to be a working makeup artist. In case they see this content, I want to make sure that, you know, I just give them ideas on how it works. But that actually brings up something else. So you would see a pro makeup artist scoop this out and you would think it's for hygiene. Yes, yes it is. But it's also because, again, saturating a brush, I mean, it's just not good, especially if you have combination and oily skin. And then we come back to what I mentioned earlier, we're tricking the skin to think that it has very little product on it. Well, you're thinking, wow, that looks very emollient, that looks very thick. Yes, but it's also super pigmented. So we could actually get away with wearing less cream foundation than we could, say, a BB cream, a light coverage foundation made for combination oily skin. It still blows my mind. I love makeup so much, and I love helping people understand makeup and have fun with it. But yes, so you're actually using less because of the intense pigment. Also, I'm trying to get captions to work, but for some reason they're not working. Sometimes it does that. I don't know what's up with that. But that is pretty wild, right? So for so long we were thinking, oh no, this is way too thick, way too heavy. You trick that skin, okay? You just go, I'm going this way. No, I'm going this way. That's what we're doing to the skin. I told y'all this is gonna be in depth. When I get going, I cannot be stopped. Powder foundation. This is great for oily skin, combination skin, obviously. But you know what? We're thinking, oh, powder, that's gonna be so good. It's gonna need a little extra balance underneath it. And by that, I mean serum. So even if you're combination oily, we have to trick it because it can start to kind of feel very heavy on the skin. Even this formula, even my favorite formulas, they can feel very, very heavy. And then all of a sudden your skin starts to produce more oil, which then starts to break this down, which then, I mean, we know how it goes from there. So with a powder foundation, I would even do a light serum underneath it. I would. And you're thinking, well, wouldn't want that. Try it. We're balancing, we're tricking the skin. We're tricking it into slowing down that oil production. But if you wanted full coverage, this has been one of my favorites ever. This is the Makeup Forever. I love Makeup Forever. I feel like it is a brand just still backed by artistry and just understanding makeup as a mixing medium, the way that you would paint. I love Makeup Forever. Now, as you can see, this is one of my favorites. If you want something more full coverage, this one. Obviously, I need a new one. And then, obviously, this one. I love this powder foundation. So this one's not going to be quite as full coverage as that one. So this one's a really great, very thin veil. You can get really nice coverage. I don't want you to think that you can't get coverage. I'm just going to throw a little bit on here. And also go a lot, see how that kind of melts into your skin? Go a lot lighter in this. I wear shade Fair and I am not fair. I am light. Will soon be light medium with summer coming. So go much lighter or it's going to be much darker on your skin. So I wear Fair. But if you want something that's going to give really nice coverage but very quick to put on, very thin, again, which is so great for combination oily skin. And I'm Balanced to Dry and love it. Please try this. But go lighter. Now, I know this has been a lot of talking, but it's so important. I'm not going to go into much detail about Balanced to Dry, and the reason why is because you see it here every single day. But my page is a place that I want everybody to feel helped. I don't want to just show only Balanced to Dry things. I want to explain skin prep. I want to explain color correcting for everyone, and I have. And I try my best, and I still work on it to make sure that everyone is always helped here. Now, let's hop on in to some of my favorite Balanced to Dry foundations. There's a new one in here. I'm excited. Now we're over into Balanced to Dry. Also, don't ever worry about this. If I was literally doing this, and if I barely touch it, it'll flare up. It'll go right away. I just know sometimes y'all get worried about me, and I love you so much. Now, let's go over to Balanced to Dry, which you see every day, but I'm still gonna put it on and we're gonna talk. So again, we love the Cover FX. If I'm wanting coverage, we're grabbing that one. But I wanted to show you something more affordable, but Kiko, we need more shades. But this formula is a 10 out of 10. But again, Kiko, please give us more shades so we can all enjoy this affordable, super full coverage foundation. It's fantastic. I feel, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I feel that with the right skin prep, even combination oily can wear this one. But I didn't want to mention it there just in case. So I'll keep you updated on that. But for a full coverage, this, and also I love the applicator, but the way that it wears. I don't want to do full coverage today, but you've seen me use this. If you've been here, you've definitely seen me use this. But again, we just need more shades in this, and then we will be unstoppable. It is so good. Now, I have really fallen in love with this one. This one's light to medium coverage to me though. I'm gonna do a different one today. I want a little bit more coverage, but not completely full coverage. So this is light to medium, but to me, it's just light coverage. I'm just gonna hang out with it here and snuggle with it. But it wears beautifully. It's very dewy without looking humidy. That's where I live. I live in a humid climate, so everything just starts to look real juicy. But it's just beautiful. Again, it's a very blurring. The pigments diffuse and blur. If you've ever wondered about that, how that works, the pigments kind of just shift the light. I'm just gonna give it to you really quickly, and it just gives a blurred effect to the skin. It's really cool how pigments work. I'm not an expert in that, but I do know that it's light, pigment, deflect. Makes sense, right? And I just feel like if you have balanced to dry skin, you're gonna love this. I love the shade range, and I wear 1R, 1-2, which is what I wear in the powder, and even the other foundation I showed you for combination oily. So they did a really good job with all of the formulas here. With the one that I showed you for combination oily, for this one, for the powder foundation, I am just a big Makeup Forever fan, and if you have balanced to dry skin, I really think you'll like this formula. Sorry, I disappeared. My mom just came in. She's going to the DMV to get her ID renewed, her driver's license. And she said, can you do my eyebrows and put some lipstick on me? I said immediately yes. She's so cute. So that's where I went. Okay, let's get my foundation on. This is still my ride or die. This one's my ride or die. My Cover FX Power Play. It was my ride or die when it was in the square bottle. Then we all thought Cover FX was going out of business. Now Cover FX is back better than ever, and everything is, well. Do you know what I have been doing recently is I've been spraying this. I love this stuff. This is what I've been using to reactivate, kind of reactivate powders. So this is not a setting spray. Think of this as a hydrating mist. Let's give it a really nice spray, okay? And then I just kind of let that cool. And not only that, it cools down. It's very cooling. It feels amazing. It does smell like a spa. So if you don't like spa smells, you're not gonna like it. Let that dry. I'm gonna keep shaking this. All right, this is nice and aggravated. So I'm just gonna put some on the back of my hand. Ooh, I can already tell that match is quite delicious. And then I like to put it here. And that's something, again, I recommend all skin types do what I just did. If you don't wanna touch your finger, use the makeup spatula. Just search makeup spatula on Amazon, okay? C42. I like this type of brush. And the reason why, the shape, the length of the fibers, everything just lends itself to smooth application. It does. It just does. Also, a brush, these particular fibers, they don't absorb. A sponge is going to absorb. It's not a bad thing, but you're not going to get the promised coverage from the foundation. That's why I don't like sponges. Okay, this is for everybody. And y'all see me do it every day, but I'm going to absolutely terrorize y'all with talking today. So, you see it? It's placed. You're thinking, well, the reason I didn't just go in, grab that little lump right there, it's going to change how this applies. It would even change how a sponge applies, because then you're going to have that one little piece absorbed into the sponge, and you're just going to keep hitting with that very wet piece. Same thing with a brush. Okay, so all that chatting, this has dried down a little bit, but that mist underneath is going to make sure that it's going to continue to melt, and it's not going to change the formula. And the reason I start on the outer part of my face is because by the time I get up here, remember, I'm going to put concealer here. So I don't want as much foundation in the areas that I'm going to put concealer. Why? Even for balance to dry too much, your skin starts rejecting it. This foundation's so blurry. It's so good. So again, see how I don't have as much coverage here? Look, I could take a little bit more. I take a tiny amount and then I could just add it here. But I'm gonna focus it right here. I don't want it to gravitate too much underneath my eye. The concealer's gonna go there. Don't worry about it. This looks so good. That looks so good. And I know you're thinking, this is so menial, it doesn't matter. It makes such a difference. It makes a difference on how it looks, wears, feels, so much of a difference. Now, again, I'm gonna do the foundation here. Again, all skin types. And then I'm gonna work my way towards the brow. I'm gonna put, you're gonna see me put concealer and you're gonna notice why I worked in these areas. And I really do feel that combination oily could wear this one too. I don't want to get ahead of myself because it does take proper skin prep. But if you watch that, you really want to try this because this foundation does look beautiful because, again, highly pigmented, very thin. That's what I'm always looking for. Ooh, look at that. Oh, that's so good. But with the right skin prep, combination oily could even wear this. Now I'm going to do the other side. Do you notice that I haven't even touched my nose yet? This is really important. This is so important for combination oily. Now, balance to dry, I don't have to worry about it quite as much, but with combination oily, leave your nose to the last part. I'm gonna keep doing this with you. Again, see that placement? Start working it upwards. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna talk to you about if we have peach fuzz. Don't worry, I'm not forgetting you. Okay, get it on first. You have to get your foundation on, work upwards. Okay, let's go. We're gonna put it right here. Tiny amount. And remember, if you're thinking, Rose, I'm gonna need way more foundation than that, that's fine, but start with small amounts and build. Don't just assume. You know what assuming does. Please, I'm sorry. Now, say we have our foundation laid, we have peach fuzz. Now what you would do, again, my foundation's not completely dry, we're not gonna have any patchiness. We would just follow the way that that grows. So mine, I do need to take it off right now, but mine's sticking straight out. It's also not long. But what I would do is I would go back in and I would study the way that it's going. So normally it would be down this way and I would just press. Again, a sponge is not gonna work. A sponge is just gonna keep grabbing the hair. So if you've ever had issues with that, please, a dense brush, please, a dense brush. It's a game changer. That's why I made one. So I'm just gonna press it down and we're just gonna study the way that it goes. And you can even kind of touch it with your hand at this stage because we don't have powder. Everything's still very flexible and to see what's going on here. Okay, I can tell that this would wanna go down this way. So you're just placing it. You're laying it the way that you would your hair with hairspray. Now let's finish this side of the forehead and then I'm gonna show you what I do with my nose. Because listen, no matter your skin type, the nose, it wants to betray you. It really does. So what we're gonna do now, okay, we got that placed. You could add more if you want it and around the perimeter here. Don't worry about the center yet. This is the part where I take kind of whatever's left here on the brush and I'm just gonna go around. Because remember, I still like to put concealer through here. So we're putting the smallest amount through the center of the face and around the nose. And I'll post a video tonight that'll show you some tips on why we might be getting cakey through here and some ways to fix that. Now I'm gonna grab my favorite concealer. Currently, this one's not my favorite. I was almost out of mycosis, which I still love that one. Very hydrating, but I feel like this one's it's gonna be better across all skin types. So that's why I'm really gravitating towards it. And I just think it's a beautiful formula. I'm apparently a Makeup Forever fan page. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start to place. Do as little or as much as you would like. This is just, that doesn't matter. It's still just about technique and application. So remember how we didn't put as much through here? I'm gonna put some concealer through here. And concealer, think of concealer as, well, a good concealer. Think of it as the ultra thin, ultra pigmented kind of topper. Okay, you're gonna get the most pigment, especially out of this one. This one's very pigmented, very thin. This is another reason I really like it. Now, thinning out and stretching the concealer is always a good idea. Sometimes we don't have time for this, but if you do, I highly recommend it. So what we're doing is, like, remember how we laid this down? We're again thinning and stretching. See what we got going on here. Nice, thin it out. Flatten it down a little bit. And then I'm gonna show you how we're gonna set, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna finish some other things off camera. Oh, I'm gonna show you that brush. Oh, where's my concealer brush? RUNNOFT. Just a second. Okay, found my cream concealer brush. Then we're gonna work this in. If we needed to correct, I have so many videos on that. TikTok has now become incredibly searchable, and I know some of you don't have it, but the way that you can search it now is it's better than YouTube to me. So you could just search my name and you can search color correcting, and you will start to understand some color correcting. But if I was going to do that, I would have done that before concealer, but I don't need that today. Plus we have went in depth. My voice is a little hoarse from all this master class, and so I just had someone bring up flashback. I put a little bit extra concealer. Again, this is perfectly normal. This is what we do. We start with small amounts and then we add more if we want more. I was feeling more. But I want to talk really quickly about what flashback can be. It's not always the actual product. What's happening is foundation, concealer, or powder is too light and it's reflecting light. That's what white does. You're thinking, well, I didn't put white on. Yes, but you might have put something on that was just too light. So if you've ever seen in photo shoots, sometimes they'll use a big white board to reflect light, and that's what's happening. The white just doesn't want to absorb light. It wants to, so that's what you're seeing. So it's not the product, it's just, it's the product not being right for you. So when we say, oh my gosh, does it give flashback? It could if it's too light for you. I'm tired. This is a lot of information. But I know it's going to be helpful. And I hope that one of you, at least one of you, has had an aha moment. So let's keep on trucking. Let's talk about setting, how we're going to set this. I actually want to film a fun little video. I'll just re-wet the foundation. All right, let's keep going. So if you wanted to add some creams, right now would be a good time since everything's still in a very wet state. Where I'm at in knowing how to pick up product, what brush to use, I could absolutely put a cream on top of a powder, but that takes a little bit more technique. So if you wanted some creams, the cream bronzer, cream blush right now is where I would recommend it, especially if you're just kind of figuring out how to get this really nice base. Now for combination oily skin, powders are something you still want to kind of test out and see how finely milled they are. I'm going to recommend one that's wildly finely milled and very affordable, and there are other colors in this, and this one's the Nakia Joy. I have fallen in love with this. I think it's a beautiful formula, and remember, I'm balanced to dry and I'm not getting any heavy cakiness. It's not too heavy or creasing underneath my eyes or making my under eye look dry. So if it's working for me, it's certainly going to work for combination to oily. And for finely milled, what we're looking for is, let's say we grab it, we want to just kind of work that in, right? God, I wish I could find a better way to explain this. There you go, that's a really good way. Okay, so we want to completely work it into the skin and watch it disappear. And you can barely feel it. It's a feeling, it's something I can't teach you. It honestly just starts to feel like nothing, but you can still feel that there's a veil. You don't want to feel it, you just want to feel a veil. And that's definitely what this powder is. So I know a lot of times we see sometimes people set with a pressed powder. I'm going to get to this in a second. For me, something that is a veil is the best thing to set with, okay? You could even add this powder after because you have that barrier, but to get just in that concealer. I'm talking, because think about what we're doing. We're adding powder into a liquid and we're kind of creating it goes into a paste and then it dries and it sets. So we want something that is almost non-existent to get in there, to get into those fine lines. So touch your powder. See if it just disappears and then you're just left with almost barely a feeling of that powder. Now please, I know you see people use wet blenders. I don't love that. I don't love it. Okay, we're all different. If it's working for you, I'm continue to do it. I will never tell you you're wrong if it's working. But for me, that moisture of a wet blender going into a dry powder and then going onto wet concealer is this. That's the best way that I can describe it. It's not for me. It doesn't go on as smoothly. It's just not the one for me. Okay, this is the one for me. Obviously, I even created my own. Okay, so we picked it up. It's on our puff there. It's from about here up. It's super evened out on the puff. It's not wasteful. It's going into the puff. We're going to use it on other parts of the face. I remember the first time we ever did that and I showed people to even it out. Everyone thought, wow, you're wasting so much product. And I don't think people understood what a puff is doing. And now everyone's starting to understand that you work it into the puff first. Now we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to start to set. Notice I'm looking up and then I'm going to very gently kind of really press that into my fine lines. And I'm just going to mainly focus that in the center because we're going to use another powder. And I'm going to talk about why I use a different powder, but we got to get this initial set. Remember that very finely milled formula is just, ooh, look how pretty that looks. It's what we need, I promise. No matter where you're at in age, walk of life, it's what we need. Let me get this under eye set and then I take whatever's left in the puff. Whew, so good. And then I'm going to go ahead and just lightly set the center because this is where I'm going to get the most shiny. This is all skin types. The technique I'm showing you is all skin types. Remember, I'm balanced to dry and I'm still using a powder with no issues. I am not cakey. I am not dry. I am just nicely set and this makeup is not going to go anywhere. And my under eye just looks, it's so good. It's amazing. Now, the reason I like to use a pressed on the rest is we're going to get a pressed on the rest. We're going to get a little bit more coverage. And I rediscovered this, I think the day before yesterday. And let me tell you, I forgot how much I like this powder. This one's from NARS. It's so good. There's other shades. Oh my gosh, there's other shades. So this one's going to have a touch of tint to it. Now, if we use a fluffier brush, we're going to obviously get less product. Not a bad thing, especially if you're balanced to dry. We don't want to go in with this puff because you have to remember the way that I can pick up powder in here, I can pick it up from this side, right? And it's a very small amount. That's a very small amount. And then again, remember, it's getting kind of worked into the puff. It's a very, very small amount. Now, if I go into here, and even if I just barely tap, right, I'm still picking up quite a bit of this powder because obviously it's all right here. I can't grab from a lesser part. So if you are oily or combination, don't dig in here still with a puff. But if you're oily combination, you can take the puff, really kind of work it into just the areas. See how pigmented that is? But work it into just the areas that you know might get a little too shiny. But still keep in mind that we don't want to overdo it. Combination oily, we're thinking we got to get in here. We're thinking the more powder I apply, the better this is going to wear. Again, your skin is going to react to that and it's going to do the opposite. But you can put a little extra powder than a balanced to dry skin type like myself. I would go so lightly, but I would just focus very small areas. Now I'm going to switch back to being balanced to dry. Now, powder, it can be very triggering for balanced to dry skin types. It was for me at one time. But if you just take a fluffy brush, this is fluffy enough. A C41's fluffy enough. It's great with powders. And you go, boop. Okay, see that? You see how much it picks up? Again, this is a very pigmented powder. But I don't mind setting the rest of my face, but again, look what we could do. We could focus here, which normally this isn't an area that we're dry, so we're going to focus most of that powder there, and then we're just going to start to take it and just lightly set the rest of the face. This is a very good technique. Now you'll see me do several techniques, but the technique I'm teaching you is it's a fail-safe. It really and truly has not let me down for, I don't even know how long I've been doing this. So it's a really tried and true technique. And this I'm going to recommend, but only if you are very dry. I'm talking very dry. So we needed those powders. We do. Okay. And think of this even if you're balanced to dry and you live in a very dry climate. For me, I don't need to do this because there is humidity in my room right now. That is what you're seeing on my chest. We are out here living with the mosquitoes and the alligators. That being said, if you live in a very dry climate or you have very dry skin, something like this, I feel like this is very Fix Plus coated with a major update, and it does not separate makeup. It does not. It's not a setting spray. Okay, I have to tell you that. This is not going to seal your makeup. This is just going to kind of tell those powders, hey, I see you doing your job, but you don't have to do it as aggressively. It's so important that I tell you this is not a setting spray. A setting spray is a sealant. That's not a sealant. Again, this just tells the powders, calm down, it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it right now just so you can kind of see, and the mister is so fine. And I've had zero issues with separation. I wouldn't even do this. I'm showing this for you because again, I live in a humid climate. This could potentially break down my makeup. But on the drier days when it was in winter, I can do this and I was having no issues. But I don't want you to do this if you live in a tropical climate. You put this on, you think it's going to help your makeup last. It's not going to do that. It's going to do what I keep repeating. And I know I'm repetitive, but I would hate for you to try something, mess up, and then not enjoy your makeup. But if you're extra dry, or you live in a very dry climate, doing this on top of your powders, yes. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go film some other things, but there's our foundation suggestions, tips, walkthrough. I need some cereal. I need some cereal. I love you so much. I'm going to save this to my highlights, of course. And yeah, I think that's everything. I really hope that this helps someone. I really do. I know it's a lot of information, but you can always rewatch it. You could screen record it and just save it somewhere and have it forever. I love helping, and I love helping you understand kind of how makeup works. I feel once you understand how it works, you're unstoppable. Because the moment I figured that out, there was nothing that I can't fix or do. Just unstoppable. All right, I'm done. I'm gonna go eat my, you know what? I might have shredded wheat today. I'm feeling wild. And in case nobody has told you today, I love you so much.